The Rewind Sports 60.
TheRewindSports60.com.
What's up, Lauren? How are you? We talked about the Bulls, the Black.
Relax, reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. WCPT. WCPT.
This the coldest sports show. You were getting the hour from 6 p.m. to 7. Chillin' with Lauren Cox and the man Marvelous. Shout out to Mr. Rouse and the Italian style. You what sports is the only politic.
WCPT. WCPT. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's play two. Well, we're only gonna go for 1 hour, but it is the fastest hour in sports conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Rewind Sports 60, streaming live on Facebook Live, broadcast in front of the illustrious studios of WCPT 820 AM. In the beautiful, beautiful city of Chicago, in the fantastic neighborhood of Jefferson Park on the north side. This is another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. Yours truly, Jerry Riles, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, he's not at Guarantee Rate giving the Sox score. No, he's not doing that. The team is in Boston, trying to get a double dip in. He's not over at the friendly confines. No, the Braves and the Cubs will be over there tonight. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, he was not over at Soldier Field checking out the Chicago Fire. He was not doing that. Not over at the United Center checking out the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's go Hawks! Let's go Hawks! Or the Chicago Bulls. Woo! They ended the drought. They ended the streak. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not even at Wintrust Arena for the DePaul Blue Demons. Is it Dana Stubblefield again? Ladies and gentlemen, he's in the studios of WCPT 820 AM. The fastest hour in sports conversation. You love him. He's known as the Marvelous One. He's Dan Marvel.
Hey.
What's up, Bubba?
Hey,
How are
Jay.
you?
Yeah, it's not 1 3/4. It's 1 2/3 mathematically. The double headers.
Exactly.
With the high school rules. And as I said off the air, I mean, they should get rid of the 5-inning requirement in the 7-inning games. If the rule is pitching more than half the game, then mathematically it's 4. I'm a math guy, you know?
Yeah, you're a math guy. You're a money's guy.
But,
You know
Cubs,
about it.
Yeah, the Cubs finally exploded yesterday.
They
I think
finally
they scored
did.
more runs yesterday than they had the whole season.
It's unbelievable. Congratulations to the North Siders finally snapping that. They snapped out of it. You remember the Three Stooges? Snapped out of it. Yeah, they snapped out of it finally over at the friendly confines. Hey, Devin Tingle, our illustrious producer. Hey, listen, every time that I say Jose Contreras, come over here and give me a crack, man.
Yeah. He's a pitcher.
Jose Contreras, I love you. I love you. But Wilson Contreras, the catcher for your Chicago Cubs, went off yesterday. He, you know what? And I commend him. I commend Wilson Contreras for maintaining his composure, for being a professional, and for channeling his negative thoughts into positive thoughts. And the end result? Home runs, RBIs. And he continued to propel. Every time he would get hit, whether it's the Pittsburgh Pirates series, whether it's the Milwaukee series, or even the Atlanta Braves, whatever the case may be, Wilson Contreras took a negative, turned it into a positive, and now hopefully he's been able to turn the Cubs offense around, because they were batting a dismal. Did it get down to 162? I know it was at 167, but it was dismal.
And the whole Major League Baseball is at a record low for over the last 100 years for batting average.
You're hilarious. But Sunday Night Baseball, the Atlanta Braves in town, taking on your Chicago Cubs. And as Anthony Rizzo said in the post-game presser, he said, hey, listen, thank goodness it's not a 60-game season this year. Thank goodness it's 162 games. And, we're getting off to a terrible start, but eventually things are going to come around. And the Cubs, they continue to press, they continue to grind, they continue to believe in themselves, they continue to have a positive mental attitude. And now, hopefully, things are turning the corner, and we're going to see some productive baseball on the north side. As far as the south side is concerned, our Chicago White Sox, congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you heard about it. I'm sure you know about it. If you're not, your head must be stuck in the sand, or you must be living under a rock or something. The no-hitter over at Comiskey Park or Guaranteed Rate Field. I got to say, it should have been a perfect game. Unfortunately, the hit by pitch, but great, outstanding play by Jose Abreu at first base on that infield grounder. But congratulations. And I said this guy should have been gone. I didn't understand why the Chicago White Sox and Jerry Reinsdorf had put so much stock into this guy. And I understand pitchers, Jerry, he loves him, don't want to overpay him, but he knows, everyone knows, pitching and defense wins championship. But for whatever reason, and Jerry, this is a fault of his, but it seems to be paying off because of his loyalty toward his whole staff, whether it's the ball boy or the ball girl, all the way up to the executives, Brooks Boyer and all those types. Jerry Reinsdorf is loyal to a fault, but it does pay off. That loyalty that they have for Carlos Rodon, I have no idea. I had this guy signed, shipped, and getting the hell out of here. Whatever the case may be. They tendered the guy, hung him around, and he goes out and throws the 20th no-hitter in White Sox franchise history. Congratulations to the guy. Unbelievable.
Yep. Terrific.
What do you think about that?
I mean, it was masterful. It was, considering how shaky he's been at times in the past. Everything was working for him. All his pitches were working, and it was a masterful performance. It should have been a perfect game, yeah.
It should have been a perfect game. He was throwing 94, 96, 98 miles per hour in late in the ball game, and I was in the press box at the time, and we're thinking, in the eighth inning, we were like, that's it. Because he was approaching 100 pitches. We're like, Tony's not going to send him back out there. It's not going to happen. Ninth inning comes, and who come trotting out of there? Carlos Rodon. Yeah. And again, congratulations to him. Unbelievable, outstanding, and just way to go. Just way to go.
Way to go. Absolutely.
773-763-9278 is our number. 773-763 WCPT. Yours truly, Jerry Riles, of course, the marvelous one, Dan Marber. Got a great show on tap. There's a lot in the world of sports, certainly, that we want to definitely talk about, but some important things regarding, they're all important, but two particular things. Well, before we get into that, I got to share with you a story. Yesterday, coming from the Cub game.
Okay.
13-4 shellacking. Again, congratulations to the Chicago Cubs. David Ross, his return after a one-game suspension. Wilson Contreras, 2 homers. And, of course, Chris Bryant with 2 homers. Yeah. Javi Baez with a shutout. David Bodie with a shutout. But all collectively, 13 runs for the North Sider. So I'm driving down Clark Street after leaving the game and getting things posted. I get past Peterson. Through Andersonville, get past Peterson, heading into Rogers Park on Clark Street. Traffic is starting to slow down, almost to a standstill. As I crawl past, and I don't remember the cross street, so forgive me. As we're going northbound, crawling at a snail's pace, I see this African-American gentleman, this black gentleman, in the middle of the street. And on Clark Street, heading north, there's an island between the east and the west side of the street to separate. This is an island with grass and everything. I see this African-American gentleman in the intersection, middle of the intersection, screaming, "Help me, help me, they're trying to kill me, they're trying to kill me." Like, oh my God. Now, marvelous.
Yeah.
You got to use your imagination. I'm going to try to paint a good picture for you to visualize this. This gentleman, let's say he's probably about 5'10", between 5'10" and 6 foot. He was easily probably 230, 240 pounds. He's standing in the middle of the street, the intersection, yelling, "They're trying to kill me! They're trying to kill me! Help me! Call the media! Call the media!" He's screaming this, waving his arms. Yeah, he's waving his arms, Marvelous.
Yes.
He's got his boxer shorts on, his underwear. I'm like, what the hell, man? And again, he's about 230, 240.
About how old, approximately?
Well, he's probably in his, I would gather, he's probably in his mid to late 30s, no more than early 40s at the most.
Time of day about, what, 5 p.m.?
Oh, no, it's a little bit later than that, probably close to like 6:30, somewhere around there. Okay. This gentleman screaming, "They're trying to kill me, they're trying to kill me." Now, he's not in the best shape, okay? He's got man boobs. He's got man boobs standing in the middle of the street, jiggling around. Okay. I'm like, oh, geez. No one wants to see this.
He had a shirt on, though.
I just told you. He just had on his boxers. You got to pay attention.
Okay,
follow the bouncing ball.
Boxers only.
He just said boxers only. That's it.
Okay, you didn't say only.
He's bouncing around, boom, boom. I'm like, no one wants to see this, but I'm wondering. And the cops are sitting right there in their SUVs and everything. I'm like, why aren't the cops trying to apprehend this guy?
Yeah.
So yours truly, the journalist, the radio guy, kicks into gear. Of course, I just lead the Cub game, a fabulous Cub game, so I'm in great spirits. I make a U-turn on Clark Street to go back in the other direction because now this guy is heading southbound, still screaming in the middle of the road on the island. Yeah. So by the time I turn around, get down the street, still traffic is at a snarl. Evidently, the police tried to apprehend this guy. They tried to subdue him. And somewhere along the way from me going northbound, making a U-turn and going southbound, Marvelous, he came completely out of his boxers. So he's stark butt naked.
Thought maybe you were going to get arrested for a U-turn in front of the cops.
Well, I was concerned about that, but I go, wait a minute, they're concerned about him. They don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. This guy is stark butt naked in the middle of the street on Clark Street, yelling and screaming, "They're trying to kill me! They're trying to kill me! Help me! Call the media!" And here's the media that he's calling. The rest of you guys, if you're listening to this, let me tell you this. Channel 7, Channel 5, Channel 9, Fox 32, you guys have probably already done. The guy said, call the media. He said, call WGN TV. That's all he kept saying. Call the media. Call WGN TV. So everyone else, you guys are slacking because that was on this guy's mind, okay? So I pull over, I pull out the phone, and me along with other people in the neighborhood, we're filming this guy. And it's like, help me, help me. The cops get him down on the grassy area. They handcuff his ankles. They keep in mind, he's stark butt naked. Butt naked. Man breasts flying all over the place. His His unit is flying all over the place. Yeah, marvelous.
Yeah.
So we're videotaping all this stuff. He continues to scream, I want the media. They're trying to kill me, blah, blah, blah. So I go, hey, you know what? I got my media pass. They saw my car because I got the Rewind Sports 60 emblem on it. So I pull over. I go, and I ask the officers, I go, you want me to talk to them? I'm with the media. The officer shrugged, and I feel for the officers. I know there are people that hate the blue and all that stuff, but I felt for these guys because they go through hell. They go through hell. I asked him, you want me to help you? He goes, he shrugs his shoulder. He points over in the direction, goes, hey, do what you can do. I go over there. There are about 8 to 10 cops. 7 of them tried to lift this 230, 240-pound lunatic. They tried to lift him. They couldn't do it. It was too much for him. I go over to the guy. I go, hey, listen, I'm with the media. He looks at me and he goes, help me, help me. I go, I'm here to help you. I go, what's wrong? And then he goes, no, you're not with the media. You're with them. I go, what do you mean I'm with them? They're paying you. You're with them. You're trying to kill me. I go, no, I'm not trying to kill you. I want the media, WGN, Channel 9. To make a long story short, this guy is foaming at the mouth. He's foaming at the mouth. And the officer said, hey, you know what? There's only so much we can do. They call the paramedics. They say, hey, listen, they're going to bring in a stretcher, the gurney. We'll lift him up, place him on air, and get him out of here. This guy was not going anywhere, but eventually they were able to get this gentleman into the unit, and they transported him to wherever they were transporting him. But if you want to see any of the video, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see any of the raw footage, go to the rewindsports60.com. THE rewindsports60.com. The video is there. The pictures are there. It was just literally unbelievable.
So they eventually got his unit into a unit. But here's my, how long, I wonder how long he'd been in the middle of the street.
About a half hour.
How do you know?
Well, that's a very good point. I talked to neighbors that lived in the same building with them.
Right.
I guess he lived like on the 3rd floor. They lived on the 2nd floor, and they heard all this commotion going on and screaming. Yeah. Then evidently they heard this guy running down the stairs or whatever, and they were curious, of course, and so they put on their coats and everything, went downstairs to see what transpired. But it appears he wasn't out there for an extended period of time, but long enough.
Well, they had dozens of cars passed, is my point.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable, and I felt for the cops, and I felt for the gentleman, because, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm serious about this. The mental health and the mental state of people, not only in the city, but around the country and perhaps around the world, it's at a incredible high. And I can just ask people to take a step back, collect yourself, get in silence, stand still, and count to 10 if you have to, but take it easy. But in this guy's situation, in my opinion, it appeared, because he was foaming at the mouth, it appears to me that he got a hold of some bad stuff.
Yeah. A little fentanyl or something, maybe. Who knows?
I don't know. I have no idea what it was, but it appeared because he was hallucinating.
Right.
He was saying, they're going to give me COVID. They're trying to kill me. He's like, it's an illusion. And everything is an illusion. And I'm like, dude, it's okay. It's relax. And I tried to talk him off the ledge. And at the end of my exchange with this gentleman, the police actually thanked me.
Uh-huh.
And they were appreciative the fact that I went and tried to calm this guy down. Because honestly, Chicago police, whatever you think of them, whatever you may believe, whatever the case may be, these men and women who serve and protect, regardless of whatever you think, believe me, they are at their wits' end. And they were so, it was a sigh of relief for me to approach them and ask them if I could assist them and help them, because they don't know what to do. They literally don't know what to do, because if they apprehend the guy and it escalates to, out of control, it's a big story. But they can't just let this guy run rampant around the neighborhood butt naked. Yeah. So they're totally at wit's end. And I have personal experience as far as police officers are concerned, good and bad. And I have to say, a former friend of mine, unfortunately, took her life. She was a Chicago police officer for more than 20 years here in the city of Chicago, and she took her life. It was on the news back in September 2020 in the parking lot on the south side. She couldn't take it anymore. door, and she pulled a revolver out and she did herself in, and it was crushing to his family, of course, friends. But it's serious, ladies and gentlemen. It certainly is serious. And the only thing that I can ask you is, first of all, be responsible for yourself and your loved ones. But if you find yourself in desperation and in need and seeming that things are getting out of control, call the 1-800 number for sure. Call the 1-800 number, but you can call your a family friend. You can, if you're religious, call your pastor. Call someone. But start to meditate. Whatever you have to do, take a step back, reflect, be still, and gather yourself. Don't overreact. And hey, listen, we're going to be talking with a gentleman later on in the program. Drug use, marijuana use. It's legal here in the state of Illinois. If you have to do drugs, and believe me, I'm not here to point fingers or anything like that, but you have to understand the consequences. You have to be aware of that. And I think a lot of times we as humans, we put ourselves in situations where if we just put some thought into it prior, we would eliminate a lot of problems that we experience. Yeah. And I'm going to get off the soapbox, but I want people to understand and pay attention and listen. And I commend WGCI, WVAZ.
Oh.
All right? I don't know if they still do it, but they used to do something where, do you know where your children are? Do you know where your children are? Only thing I can say is that people, you have kids, know where your kids are. And listen, times have changed. A 13-year-old kid should not be out at 2:30 in the morning. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. I don't care what. A 13-year-old seventh grader should not be out in the streets at 2:30 in the morning. When I was 13 and I was in 7th, 8th grade, I was terrified to be out. One, because of things that happen, because they always say, you know the phrase, nothing good has happened after midnight. But as a 13-year-old kid, I was terrified to be out there, partly because of what could happen. The other part is what could happen when I got home. Because when I was 13 back in the day, you know what happened? If I got home at 10:30, 10:31, I'd get my brains beat in.
A whooping.
I'd get my brains beat in. Okay. That was enough to scare me to get in the doors before 10:30. But I got picked up one time for curfew. The cops picked me up. They drove me to the house. It was like, and because I went to Jewel. I went to the Jewel in the Beverly area. I got home. They picked me up at 10:35, a block away from the house. They drove me around the corner in front of my house. They asked me, "What are you doing out here?" I said, "I'm just going to the store. I'm going to the store." They said, "Hey, man," they say, you look like a nice, respectable young man. I go, He said, "Listen, go in the house. Go in the house. Don't let us catch you out here. You don't want to be out here." That was the last time that anything like that happened. Take care of your kids, ladies and gentlemen. Know where they are, and don't turn a blind eye, because the police aren't here. They're not here to raise your kids. They're not. You are responsible for raising your kid. And your 13-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid, 15-year-old kid, they shouldn't be on the train robbing people. They shouldn't be out at parties at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. They shouldn't be there. Get a hold of your kids, get them in the house, and put a book in their hand. Take the video games out of their hand and put a frickin' book in their hand, okay? Instead of Facebook, put your book in the face. That's it. That's my public service announcement.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, medical marijuana is one thing, but narcotics is a huge problem too. And you talk about kids out. I mean, there's the age group you're talking about is being recruited by the gangs. They're the ones that do the carjackings because they're juvies and they don't get any kind of punishment. Well, so it's a vicious cycle with the. Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah. It certainly is. Don't let the gangs raise your kids. Raise your own kids, because you don't like it. Nothing good's going to happen. Nothing's good going to happen. Zero. They're not going to graduate from any school. They may graduate from jail,
But if they're lucky, but they're not going to graduate from school. They're not going to get a good job. They're not going to grow up and have kids and grandkids. They're not. That stuff is not going to happen if you let your kids, the gangs, get a hold of your kids. It's not going to happen. I don't mean to be on my soapbox, but it drives me nuts. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a sports show. It's the Rewind Sports 60. Yours truly, Jerry Riles, along with the marvelous one, Dan Marver. Yeah. We got to go to our guest on the hotline. And the one reason I love this guy, he's fantastic. He's Dr. Chad Prodromus on our TRS60 hotline. Dr. Prodromus is an orthopedic surgeon at Illinois Sports Medicine. He does a weekly podcast with yours truly, the Sports Medicine Weekly Update, and he's on our TRS60 hotline. And the reason we invited Dr. Chad Prodromus on our TR60 hotline is because, well, several reasons. One reason is OTAs get underway this week around the National Football League. 32 teams in the National Football League starting OTAs. And right now, there's a mini boycott going on as far as players and teams around the league are saying, hey, you know what? We don't know if we necessarily want to participate in these OTAs for the simple fact that, there's a pandemic going on and a lot of players opted out of the 2020 season because of the fear of, catching this virus. And it's definitely rampantly running rampant as far as this world is concerned. I guess we're at the 3 million mark. Worldwide. The numbers continue to climb, and there are a lot of NFL players and a lot of athletes that feel, hey, you know what? We don't want to risk it.
And the new virus, and already you have baseball affected. The Twins games canceled. They've had the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, it's far from over. So and it's unbelievable that it goes on and on like this.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. But we also want to touch on a study that has come out as far as collegiate athletes who contracted the virus. And it's been revealed that it's not a major threat as far as long-term effects, heart conditions. And the number is less than 1%. I know there are a lot of speculation out there where people are saying that these young athletes, they're young and they're healthy, but we don't know the long-term ramifications of COVID and what it can do to the heart. Dr. Chad Prodromus on our TR60 hotline will clear things up for us, and we welcome him to the program. He's a friend of the program. Doctor, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jerry. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We appreciate you taking some time out of your busy Sunday to join us to talk about these particular issues. But first and foremost, we just want to make sure that you're doing okay and everything is fine in your world, Dr. Chad Prodromus.
Jerry, myself and my family are blessed. Everything's great. Thank you for asking.
God bless you. Thank you so very much. So, Doc, you and I have gone back and forth on our weekly podcast, the Sports Medicine Update, and we've talked about numerous things over the past year, and in particular, in the forefront, COVID-19, the virus that has really affected people personally that we know and globally. But you and I have talked, we've agreed on some points and we disagreed in others, but we've collectively tried to find a happy medium to get to the bottom of how people can live with it, deal with it, and move on from it. And you and I have gone back and forth as far as the long-term effects, and the most recent study came out that said that athletes aren't at a high risk regarding long-term heart conditions regarding COVID-19 and the virus. Would you like to elaborate and move forward, explain to our listening audience that there's no real fear regarding long-term effects from COVID-19?
Sure. I mean, we don't know. You don't know long-term until long-term comes, but there is no reason to expect that there will be. There was some false information for whatever reason that came out of Penn State a while ago, last fall, that said that about a third of the people had heart issues. It turned out that none of them did. But there was one college athlete who passed, unfortunately. This was about a year ago. He was someone who's listed at 6'1" and 350 pounds or so, which points out that males who are obese are at some risk. There was a study from the sports of all the athletes who tested positive, NBA, NFL, NBA, Major League Soccer, there were 789 of them, and they were actually looking for heart problems by getting heart enzymes, troponins they're called. So out of the 790 people, 5 people tested positive. None of them, first of all, none of the athletes were hospitalized. None of them were seriously ill. And none of the 5 who tested positive had a significant heart problem, and they all went back. So you were talking specifically about NFL people. The risk is infinitesimal, bordering on zero. I will say that obese males are at some risk. And I think the only place you find obese males in professional sports is professional football. And so a man who's very large, who doesn't want to participate, I think that maybe makes some sense. Eddie Goldman, for example, a big, strong man, didn't participate last year. So I think going forward, though, the risk, if you're a skill player, maybe if you're not a nose tackle, there is no reason to think that there is any significant risk. In fact, the risk seems to approach zero.
Dr. Chad Padromas, orthopedic surgeon, Illinois Sports Medicine, joining us on our TRS60 hotline, talking about the ramifications regarding COVID-19 and the risk. There's an article that said for sports fans around the country, the resumption of the regular sports calendar has signaled another step toward post-pandemic normality. But for the athletes participating in professional, collegiate, high school, or even recreational sports, significant unanswered questions remain about the after effects of a COVID-19 infection. Goes on to say, chief among those is whether the coronavirus can damage their hearts, putting them at risk for lifelong complications and death. Now, preliminary data from early in the pandemic suggested that as many as 1 in 5 people, doctor, with COVID-19 could end up with heart inflammation, known as myocarditis, which has been linked to abnormal heart rhythms and sudden cardiac death. When you hear that, doc, and to the layperson, that could send some fear and some bad thoughts to you. Hence, that's why we're talking about the OTAs in the National Football League, because there are several teams around the league and players who said, you know what, I don't want to risk. That means I'm not going to the facilities, even though it's voluntary. I don't want to put myself at risk. When you hear the 1 in 5 people who are concerned about this, how do you respond to that?
Well, it's basically based on debunked information. And, as I mentioned, we have a significant sample size. In fact, it turns out to be one of the best medical studies of all of these 790 athletes who were tested, including NFL players. And none of them had any severe problems. So the 20%, the original number was the 30-some% from Penn State. I'm not sure where they're getting this 20%, but I don't think, in fact, I know it's not based on any valid data. That data just simply doesn't exist, nor is there any reason to think that a virus like this, a SARS, a coronavirus, would tend to do that. Other ones haven't. There is no reason to think that this one will.
Hey, Doc, this is Dan in the studio, Doc Padromas. I was reading your bio. You're a very accomplished gentleman, Princeton, Johns Hopkins. But personally, there are a couple of things that really stuck out for me in your bio. I mean, my daughter had an ACL and I have arthritis. You're really doing some cutting edge stuff with the stem cell, aren't you? And then I'm very impressed. You even have an office in Naples, Florida. Smart guy.
Yeah, well, I have to say I'm not a big fan of Chicago winters.
So with the stem cell, I mean, it's like cutting edge for arthritis and other related tendon injuries and related disorders, and that's something you're pioneering. It sounds like, right, with rich plasma treatments.
Right, we are at the absolute cutting edge of that treatment. I have a foundation. We publish articles in good journals. We've done over 4,000 PRP treatments. In fact, we just had accepted for publication at a good journal 2 weeks ago a series of 80 people who we injected with platelet-rich plasma, but not even stem cell treatment. It's relatively inexpensive. It's safe. For people with partial tears of their rotator cuff, most of whom had been told they would need surgery. So I do rotator cuff repairs for a living surgically, but results for these people are not great. And all of the people we injected, none of them wound up needing surgery. They're not all pitching for the Cubs, but they've all avoided surgery. So it's very exciting to have non-surgical treatments for common problems.
Absolutely. I'm all for that.
Well, Doc, we appreciate you taking some time out to join us to kind of, open up and share some thoughts on a little bit more about what's going on regarding long-term heart conditions, regarding coronavirus. I do say that the San Francisco 49ers, New Orleans Saints, Baltimore Ravens, and Philadelphia Eagles have all opted out to the voluntary OTAs that get underway starting tomorrow and last for 3 or 4 weeks. So there are teams, almost half the 32 teams in the league are opting out, or players are opting out not to participate for the simple fact that they are concerned. But we'll continue to monitor this and follow this, and we'd love to reach out to you down the road to get some updated information. But thank you for taking some time. We really appreciate you spending time with us on the Rewind Sports 60 on this Sunday.
It's my privilege to be on. Love your show. Thank you.
Take care, Doctor. Dr. Chad Padron was joining us on our TRS60 hotline. Ladies and gentlemen, the hits just keep coming. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. Yours truly, Jerry Riles, along with the marvelous one, Dan Marver. And I got to tell you, it's a commercial free, but if you want to join in and jump on, our number here is 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. We do have another guest on the line, and I got to tell you, the world is changing right before our eyes. And we're a part of the change, there's no question about it. But marvelous.
Yeah.
Marvelous.
Yeah.
Did you ever think it would be legal? It would be legal to smoke marijuana.
I'll tell you what. It's
Tell
funny.
me.
It's funny. In college, I was a naive
No, I wasn't. I don't know. Tell us.
I know. I was a naive suburbanite.
Okay.
So I tell this story, and I even told at my dad's funeral. I said, I called my father. We were very close, and I said, they're smoking this marijuana in the dorm. I mean, what do you think about that? And I don't remember what he said exactly, but I know I never did it. That's my story, and I told it at his funeral, and it was like almost unbelievable. The other thing is just smoking in a business setting too, just smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed very normal back then. But of course it's not happening nowadays. So things have changed. But I get the medical marijuana, the recreational. I haven't really wrapped my head around that yet because it does cause impairment, and then it could be a DUI type of thing too. So I have mixed feelings about that.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people out there that have mixed feelings about it, but I got to say to you, it's generating incredible revenue for the state of Illinois, and there are a number of dispensaries opening up around the state, and definitely here in the Chicagoland area, and it's interesting because I've seen these different, dispensaries popping up, and as naive as I am, I had no ideas. For instance, I won't name, what they are and where they are, but I would see the names plastered on, these buildings, and I would see lines of people standing outside waiting. And I initially thought, well, wait a minute, are they trying to get their, the COVID testing?
Uh-huh.
And, people come out with bags and everything. I'm like, wait a minute. But it shows how popular it is that people are standing in line to purchase legal marijuana. And it was interesting, when the talk and speculation was taking place about a year or so ago, maybe, 2 years ago. I can remember being downtown. I can remember this, Marvelous. St. Patrick's Day. They color the river green, and
right.
Everybody's out with their green attire and all that stuff. And I can distinctly remember smelling marijuana in the air, and a group of people were walking down Michigan Avenue, tooting, taking a toke. And and the cops, they walked right past the cops, and the cops, they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
Right. I mean, I still don't even understand. There's a store that opened up, up in Northbrook. It was, for a while it was called Greenhouse. Now it's called Cura Leaf or something. They changed the name already within a few months.
Yeah.
And they have security there, and they have a parking lot full of people. So obviously it's a booming business.
It's a booming business. We're going to have the senior vice president of Hatch marijuana dispensary just opened up in the great Wheeling, Illinois, about a week or so ago. He's the vice president of operation. Brian Baker is going to be joining us shortly to talk about the booming business of recreational marijuana that's running just wildfire here in the state of Illinois and across the country. It can definitely cut into the deficit that Illinois has, for sure. But before we go to our next guest, let's go out to the phones. Northside Ed is joining us on the Rewind Sports 60. Ed, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Jerry. I just want to make a brief comment about what I see going on in the NBA. I think, most people thought this year you were going to have a championship between Brooklyn and the Lakers, right?
Right.
Okay, I'll tell you, I've completely changed my mind on these teams. I don't think Brooklyn's going to get in because they are just too injury-prone. Kevin Durant, every time you turn around, there's something wrong with the guy. Now, if the Lakers, they got LeBron out, Anthony Davis out. I mean, you can't wait till the last 2 weeks to try to catch up. If the Lakers get in the conference championship, they're going to be the visiting team throughout the whole playoffs. So the teams that I'm looking at right now that I expect to be in the NBA championship, and it's going to surprise you when I tell you, I do believe Philadelphia will be from the East. But the Western team will surprise you. Who do you think is going to be in from the West?
Utah.
Well, I think the Lakers are going to be there. I think the Lakers are going to be there. I mean, it's designed. LeBron and AD, they're designed to succeed. And the league will not, in my opinion, the league will not let them falter.
Okay, but here's the thing. If they're going to be the visiting team throughout the playoffs, it's going to be awfully hard. It's rarely ever been done. I think it's been done twice in NBA history. Okay, in '69 the Celtics did it. In '95 the Houston Rockets did it. They're the only two teams. But I'm going to tell you who I'm picking in the West.
Go for it.
To go against Philadelphia. I'm picking the Clippers. They're going along silently. They're not injured. They're just biding their time, and they have the guys that can win a championship. That's what I think.
No, I like it. I don't think it's going to happen. And Ed, that's why we love the world of sports, because we just don't know until it happens. Right. We gotta let you go, but we appreciate the phone call, Ed. Keep listening.
Okay, buddy.
It's the Rewind Sports 60. Thank you,
Can I
sir.
make a quick point? The home court isn't what the home court normally is this year either.
Right, exactly. Exactly. I mean, we could go in more and more.
Right.
I don't think that the Clippers are equipped to go long term as far as playing in an the NBA title game. I don't think that's possible. Again, as long as LeBron...
They even end up going to a bubble.
Right, exactly. But as long as LeBron is lacing them up and playing, and I wanted to ask him about load management, because that's a big issue. I think the San Antonio Spurs were just slapped with a $25,000 fine for sitting out their star players. Load management is running rampant throughout the NBA for the simple fact that these teams are trying to protect their star players in anticipation for the playoffs, because they know what the grind is, and they want their team to be as healthy as they possibly can and conditioned and ready to go the long haul for that NBA run. I like Philadelphia. I like what Joel Embiid is doing. He's shooting for the MVP candidate position, but for some reason in my mind, Ben Simmons, he's a phenomenal basketball player. I love him, even when he was at LSU, but I don't think he's a complete player at the point that they need him to be, and I think those sort of things are going to catch up to him. If the Brooklyn Nets are healthy, which they probably more than certainly should be at the playoff time, and you look at the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron and, again, AD, you cannot count them out. I think that's what the NBA wants to see. I think that's what the fans want to see, and I certainly believe that's what the sponsors want to see, and I think that's what we're eventually going to see. Our number here is 773-763-9278, 773-763-WCPT. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, if you're joining us now, keep it locked in. It is the fastest hour, but if you miss any portion of the broadcast, you can check us out on the rewindsports60.com. That is our website. You can check us out on WCPT820am.com, and, of course, WCPT1, wherever you can find us. I was going to say Comcast Sports or Comcast Access on Wednesdays. But let's get to our gentleman. This guy, Brian Baker, is the Hatch Vice President of Operations. And you say, what the hell is Hatch? Hatch, the breakthrough cannabis experience beloved by patients and customers alike, opens up in Addison back in 2016, announced a new location in my town, Wheeling, on Lake Cook Road, open on April 5th. It's ranked in the top 20 of all medical dispensaries in Illinois and is lauded for its stylish, comfortable environment, broad product selection, and friendly, knowledgeable service. Now, although the new location in Wheeling will be adult use only, Hatch plans to offer the same high-touch service experience and vast product selection, but in a reimagined, high-design setting rooted in comfort and care with added amenities for a host of new in-store opportunities. Welcome to the Rewind Sports 60, our hotline. Brian Baker, Hatch VP of Operations, and I can attest to that press release that you guys sent. I went to Hatch, and it's a catch. It was a catch, and I don't smoke weed, but it was a catch. Hey, Brian, thank you so much for taking some time out on a Sunday. Welcome to the Rewind Sports 60. How are you?
I'm well, Jerry. Thank you so much. Love the show. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much, and we love to get you guys in, down the road and just get a chance to really spend a lot more time on marijuana. And I got to tell you, you guys opened up on April 5th in Wheeling, and I think I was over there maybe the 6th or the 7th, and I got to tell you, it's the first time I've ever been in a dispensary, right? And I was highly impressed with the atmosphere, with the decor, with the pleasantries of the workers there. And again, I don't smoke weed, but I was tempted to go in my pocket and buy something because I just felt that I needed to do something. It was a really, really easy, pleasant, comfortable experience for even a non-weed smoker as myself. Talk to us about Hatch and what marijuana smokers can expect when they venture into your establishment.
Sure. Happy to. Well, first, I'm glad you had a good experience. Hatch very much strives to be, an experience that is tailored to each guest individually. Meaning, if you're an experienced user of cannabis, you can come in, get exactly what you want from informed staff. But we also very much cater to the canna curious. Someone like yourself, like you said, you don't, use cannabis. You can come in. Our very experienced bud tenders will be able to help you as much or as little as you need, and we tailor each experience uniquely to the guest. So you can have someone who, I was actually talking with a couple just yesterday who said that, it was their first time in and they hadn't smoked cannabis since they were in college 20 years ago. So they were actually really excited of all the books we have, the different accessories that we really tried to thoughtfully curate a line of accessories for all level of user, from high-end electronic rigs to more entry level things like pipes and bowls of that nature. Mm-hmm. But also we carry such a wide range of products, from edibles to flour to tinctures to bombs and, different levels all the way up to RSO, which if you're an experienced cannabis user, is more of the more highly concentrated.
Brian.
So everything from a little gummy all the way up to flour.
Brian Baker, Hatch VP of Operation, joining us on the TRS60 hotline to talk about. Am I doing it a disservice by saying weed? Because that's the layman's term. I mean, that's what people on the street, that's what they're saying. Hey, man, I'm going to purchase some weed. But you use the technical term, the appropriate term, cannabis. I'm not doing it a disservice, though, am I?
Cannabis is what a lot of people in the industry use, but no, I mean, there is no wrong term. Whatever you're comfortable with, everyone will accept you use whatever you're comfortable with.
Hey, Brian, this is Dan in the studio. I wanted to congratulate Hatch on their amazing $100,000 gift to Oakton Community College. That's amazing.
Yeah, we're really excited and happy to do that. The Hatch Social Equity Scholarship Fund now exists. And like you said, we donated $100,000 for scholarship to Oakton Community College, as well as it's going to include some internships because, for us, it's a great partnership because we're able to invest in a future, team and leadership for the cannabis industry. So we're very excited.
Yeah, and I was looking at your website. I mean, it's amazing. You're talking about flour, including gelato, edible, vape, extract, tincture, pre-roll, topical. I mean, it's an unbelievable variety.
You name it, we've got it.
I had no idea. Lotions.
From chocolate, from lotions, transdermal patches, chocolate bar, gummies, whatever you're looking for. We can we can tailor it to your needs and your desires. So.
Okay.
Now, there are a lot of people, obviously recreational, use people, certainly, partake in, but, medicinal, I had surgery, maybe a couple years ago. I had a bad ankle from, my playing days from back in the day, and I never really properly took care of it, but I was using, this, what is it, CBD oil or whatever to, alleviate the pain, and it actually worked. It actually worked. But since the surgery, I'm like a new person, a new man. My question to you is, for people who are suffering from any particular ailments, whether it's arthritis or some type of chronic pain, is it recommended that they venture into hash to try to find something for short-term effect to remedy the pain that they may be experiencing?
Oh, absolutely. We just to talk about the benefits of CBD, like you said, a lot of our products we have are both CBD and THC mixes in different levels. So, speaking from experience, just this past Thanksgiving, I had full-on back surgery, and it is definitely something we can impact positively on your pain management. A lot of things we realize that, with our second hatch location just being a recreational use, is a lot of customers come in and they're looking for pain management in some way, shape, or form, not necessarily just being a medical patient having to get your medical cannabis card. So people come in recreationally all the time with arthritis, different, problems sleeping, and there are a host of different avenues we can go down with you to be able to positively impact your needs of what you're looking for.
It's interesting, Brian, and again, we appreciate you, Brian Baker, joining us on our TRS60 hotline. One reason, we wanted to talk about you, of course, you're in my hometown. Well, it's not my hometown, but it's my new, town that's Wheeling. But, sports, a lot of athletes, man, they engage. My understanding is a lot of professional athletes engage in marijuana use, and partly I believe is the fact that because of the stress that surrounds their the game and the livelihood, this is kind of a way to relieve some of the stress and pressures that they have. I don't know if that's the reason or not, but it's almost documented that a majority of professional athletes, whether it's football, basketball, I'm not too sure about hockey and baseball, but they consume a lot of marijuana on their downtime. Do you see a relationship as far as cannabis sales are concerned in regards to athletes to, come together in some shape, form, to kind of, help balance each other out as far as the direction this legalization of cannabis is going?
Well, we definitely see people who are looking, coming in with sports injuries, looking to manage their pain or just their stress and anxiety. I mean, that does come from all walks of life, but definitely people in sports, especially high impact sports. For sure, absolutely, we see people could come in for that.
So I got to ask you, you guys have been around, you said, for since 2016, did I get that right? 2016, you've been around, you opened up the first one in Addison. What would you say is your number one selling product? Because I understand a lot of people are into the gummies, and that could be a dangerous thing, but what would you say is the number one selling product for you guys?
Well, flower by far, I think, is not going away anytime. That is definitely the steadfast avenue for cannabis. But right behind that is the vape cartridges, the concentrated extracts. There's a host of products there. But right behind it is the edibles. And what's great about the edible lines is it's everything from a gummy to a hard candy to a chocolate bar to whatever you need, and there are great avenues for sleep. I use a cannabis product for sleep. I have a hard time falling asleep, and it is amazing. I can't speak highly enough about it.
So, Brian, if I want to come see you at 1500 East Lake Cook Road, I can be there. Come between 9 and 9 tomorrow. I understand every day, but Sunday is 10 to 6. Correct?
Absolutely. And, with 420 this Tuesday, we've got some great specials. If you check out our website at gohatch.com, We'll have some food trucks at the locations and a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't smoke weed or cannabis, like I said, but you guys had the grand opening. I understand you gave out a magnificent swag bag, and the day that I was there, you were actually selling. You guys were selling marijuana joints for like $5. I was like, wow. Where am I?
Yeah, we did that for the first week we were open. Absolutely.
God. Well, hey, listen, Brian, we appreciate you taking some time. It is the fastest hour in sports conversation. Thank you so very much. And we certainly be reaching out and would love to get you guys back on to talk a little bit more about the legalization and the cannabis sale here in the state of Illinois and, of course, in my town of Wheeling. Thank you so very much for taking some time out.
Guys, thanks so much. Have a great day. Love to come back.
We'll be in contact. Take care. That, of course, is Brian Baker, Hatch Vice President of Operations on the Rewind Sports 60. Closing thoughts, Marvelous.
Okay. So his name is Tony Stubblefield, and I sent you a text. His overall, and the Paul head coach now, his overall record as a head coach makes him a perfect fit because his overall record at New Mexico State is 2-12.
Unbelievable. And we didn't
great recruiter though. Great recruiter, they say. So
he can't be a great recruiter with a record like that.
No, at Oregon.
He can't.
Oregon's been in the NCAA multiple times, so from that standpoint, yeah.
Okay, well, all right, well, that to me, and Tony, you get the support of the Rewind Sports 60, and we want success here in the greatest city in the world, and of course with DePaul because of the, the history of the, the basketball program. But in order to win. You got to take care of home first.
Right.
You cannot let homegrown talent get out of here.
Right. And our friend of the program, Dave Weber, said the following. It's a lot different when you have the clipboard and the pen in your hand, too.
It is a lot different. There's no question. I had a chance to coach some kids a few years back, and it's different. It's a different dynamic than sitting on your couch and saying, why'd you do that, you bum, you knucklehead? When you got that clipboard and that pen in your hand, and you're looking at the clock, and you're watching the opposition, and you're watching your players, and they're not doing what you told them to do in practice, it's a stressful situation. So I certainly get it.
It's also going to be funky. They're not going to have to add more scholarships if these kids who are seniors want to come back at all the schools I'm talking about. Yeah. It's going to be quite interesting next year. There'll be a lot of movement, and kids can stay without being counted against a scholarship.
Well, it's interesting. Frazier with the Fighting Illini of Illinois, he just declared that he's coming back for another year of basketball for Brad Underwood. So congratulations to him, and good luck to Georgie and Kofi and Io.
The ratings are amazing. I think it was 17 million for Gonzaga, and in that game against Baylor. The amazing ratings. It's still very popular college basketball.
Yeah, congratulations to the national champions, Baylor. They, I didn't think that they were going to do it, but that layoff with COVID, I think it was enough for them to regroup, get themselves back together, and they took care of action and they got the title. So congratulations to them, ladies and gentlemen. It is the fastest hour in sports conversation. Yours truly, Jerry Riles, along with the marvelous one, Dan Marver. Again, if you miss any portion of this broadcast, please make sure to go to the rewindsports60.com. rewindsports60.com. You can take a look at the video of the African-American gentleman I tried to talk off the ledge in Rogers Park yesterday. The full video and pictures are there as well. You can also check us out on Wednesdays if you're in the northern suburbs at Comcast Access, Channel 17, Channel 19, Channel 35 at 7 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of your Sunday. Go Cubs, and we'll talk to you down the week and see you next week. Take care, everybody.
Bye now.
Relax. Reset. Rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.
good of a feeling is that for Carlos with everything he's been to and the way that he competed for you guys this spring?
You know, there's an old saying, you know, there's not a lot of justice in this game, but every once in a while, and what he did, you know, signed late with us, just asked for an opportunity to compete, won the spot. You know, the other day in Seattle, he gave us a lift, and against the club that's in first place in our division, it's a no-hitter. So, you know, all the work he put in, I tell you can't give enough credit to Zach. I mean, I'm there trying to think along with him, and he was just brilliant. They were together all night long, but also Ethan. You know, Ethan did a lot of work with him to get him ready, so what a thrill for him. Team played defense, they scored runs. I mean, it was just it's a great night. But Carlos in particular, I mean, he was very determined. You know, he never really got tight. I mean, everything had the same life, made the same pitches. Proved to me that he's a finisher. It's a really good thing for his future and ours.
What was it about the work that he did with Ethan this spring and even during the offseason that really kind of transformed his game?
You know, what I would give you is just half of, even a quarter of what the substance was. You know, I'm sure Ethan will be here to talk about it. I just know that they got together as soon as he signed with us, and they started, you know, working on the process. You know, talking and exchanging looks, and brought it into spring training. So it's much better if both of them talk about it than if I did. I just give them credit.
Gerald raced out.
Tony, what was it like in the dugout during the game, and how comforting was it having fans there to see this no-hitter where they didn't get to see Lucas's last year?
You know, it's like the difference is why we play the game. I mean, you play because you want to entertain fans, and they were into it. I mean, I think right away, you know, our offense jumped a really good pitcher early, and that got them going. And then as it developed, I'm not sure exactly when, maybe after the fifth or something, you know, it's 1-2-3, 1-2-3. But I mean, they were into it at least the last half of the game, and that made it more exciting.
How easy was it for you managing him, knowing he was at a good pace, that you didn't have to worry about the pitch count because he was really on target?
Yeah, I was spectating as hard as I could. Believe me, it wasn't. You know, the only thing you worry about early, I mean, is he going to run into a tough stretch where you can see it start to labor, and sometimes you labor and you still got the zero on the board, but it never happened.
James Vegan.
Tony, with Carlos getting scratched 2 days ago, how soon did you know that he'd even be able to go tonight, and how did you see him kind of, I guess, get his strength back over the course of the week that something like this was even possible?
Yeah, here again, you know, best to ask him. I was talk to our trainer James, but the next day after, you know, I mean, if we had to, he said, if you want me to, I'll go out there. But he just, you could tell, you know, he's pale, and Dallas stepped up. Think about that, the two significance for him.
The Rewind Sports 60.
Well, the first one, I mean, you know, all night long, if you look at it, the 7, 8 guys were some of the toughest outs. You know, Naylor hit a line drive. Perez hit the ball in the nose twice. But, you know, he hustled on the line, you know, and I enjoy competitors. And here was the end of the game, and that guy just competing and didn't want his team to get no hit. That's the way the game's supposed to be played, and he hustled and dove into the bag. But you had the other champion there at first base that knew exactly what was at stake and made the play. You know, he came and got it and made it slide. So it was great competitiveness all around. And then, you know, from our side, it's what the kind of support that Carlos had earned and deserved.
You mentioned Zach Collins. I mean, he came to camp and seemed like he had a different confidence about himself this year, that he believed not only that he belonged, but that he could excel. And have you seen that from him once the regular season began too?
Well, I'm just watching for the first time. I watched film before he came to camp. I did see him in January there early. He was very serious he was catching guys that were there rehabbing or whatever. He was working with Yaz in the cage. on just techniques and fundamentals. This is like January and early February. So, and what our organization, not experts, but the guys that know him best, I'm talking about, Doug and Johnny Orton and, Kenny, Rick, guys like that, Chris Getz. This was the first camp that he probably believed that he could earn his way on the club, and he took the bit by the teeth, But now that's what they told me, and that's the way he looked. Looked like I'm going to win this job, and he did it with his bat and with his glove and with his thinking. He's been very impressive. Where he takes all the information that he gets and then he works the game plan. So today, the other thing before the game, I told him, if we pitched a shutout, he could have my office. And I thought in the excitement, he forgot when he walked by. He said, "Just clear out. I'm in there." I said, "Well," I said, "But you got a no-hitter." That kind of kills the bet. Last thing I heard was Rob was moving my things in his locker, so I'm glad to give it up.
Bruce Levine.
Tony, how many no-hitters is this for you? And as far as the dominance of what you saw, how did maybe that compare? I know you're not a big comparing guy, but and
The Rewind Sports 60.
Tony, last year before the season even started, Carlos told us that, he was kind of out to prove something, that he wanted to prove something about, not being able to stay healthy and not pitching the way he's wanted to pitch. What in the first two outings that he's had this season, which have both been very good, this one obviously very special, has he proven to you this year?
Well, I'm going to answer it in two parts. What he's proven, that's why he got the ball, was that he had become at least a three-pitch pitcher this year. That's what we're evaluating this year. And it's probably more than three because he's doing a couple of things with his fastball. He's throwing a changeup. He's throwing, these guys always had a slider. And that's why you're in the spot. And then that game in Seattle, we had a tough weekend there in Anaheim. So that was big. So what he's proven is that he's got it. Now what he has to prove, and that's the secret in this league. That's not, I don't have to make a secret, but it's one of the realities is it's always what's next. And he has to understand that what he's accomplished, but what's ahead, not lose an edge. And the way he's been going about it since day one, I think he'll pitch. He's pitching Monday against the Red Sox. I bet you he'd be ready for it. But that, the mind, if we ever talk a lot, you'll hear me say everything comes down to where you are mentally. Mentally, if it gets in your way, you struggle, you slump or whatever. But if you celebrate too much, you lose an edge. If you gain the confidence of what he's doing, then you just get better and just get hungrier. And that's what he has to prove, and I bet on him.
Anything else for Tony?
Okay.
That's a wrap. Thank you, Tony.
Hey, Zach, congratulations.
Thank you.
Have you caught a no-hitter before in your career, and what does this mean to you to see this happen?
I've never caught a no-hitter before. That was the most incredible thing that I've ever been a part of behind the plate. I remember watching it last year with Giolito. I was nervous on the bench last year. I was thinking about what McCann was feeling, and I felt it tonight. I was about as nervous as I've ever been back there, but it was a lot of fun, and obviously Carlos had his stuff tonight, and no words can explain how I felt in the last inning.
You're sitting right there when Roberto Perez gets hit by that pitch. What goes through your mind at that point?
It obviously sucked.
The Rewind Sports 60.
What does it mean?
It means a lot. I mean, the front office believing in me to sign me back. They knew I had something to prove. They knew, I was hungry, and I'm just happy that I can prove that I can still play this game and play it at the level that they thought I was going to be when they drafted me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach.
Hello, how are you doing?
How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great. Congratulations.
Good to see you, man.
Same here. 2 quick questions. First of all, did you get the final out, the ball from the final out?
I don't even know yet. I got some ball. I probably is the ball. I don't even know.
Are you going to give it to Cooper Sal?
Is that what people do?
That's history.
I've never thrown a no-hitter before. That's another question I should have asked Lucas because he's done it before.
Also, well, my question is, what's your feelings about the perfect game, losing the perfect game, but yet getting a no-hitter?
I got that out, and after hugging Cat, I think I hugged Cats and I go toe ball. I'll tell you that count. I was 1-2, and I knew the whole game I've been throwing sliders that they had good shape, but I was starting them kind of in their back foot, like good 0-2 sliders that if I was throwing sliders to strike early on in the game, I'd get swings at. But I knew in that count, at 1-2 count, I wanted to throw the same slider I think I threw to someone I struck out before to swing over. And I was like, you got to start it at his right knee or above his right shoulder. And I was like, all right, here we go. And I threw it, and it just took off like one of those snakes. And I go, oh, there goes the toe ball. And, you hear that clunk. And I was like, mother. So all you can do is laugh about it. It wasn't meant to be.
Hey guys, last question for Carlos. Carlos, we have some Spanish media here, and they're asking if you can give any reaction in Spanish for them.
Oh, that's gonna be hard. My Spanish is not that good, Billy. Come on.
Whatever, Carlos. Something in Spanish for the people in Latin America who follows you.
What would you say? I don't know. What would you say?
I don't know. I haven't thrown a no-hitter. you can say something about that.
First one. It just would be hard. I don't know if it'd come out right, and I feel
it's fine.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you, Carlos. Congrats. We're gonna have more from Carlos tomorrow. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
What's up, Lauren? How are you? We talked about the Bulls, the Black.
TheRewindSports60.com.
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Sports Medicine Update, a weekly podcast with yours truly, Jerry Riles, and the Honorable Dr. Chad Padromas. Doctor, how are you?
Doing great, Jerry. How about you?
I'm hanging in there, doing fantastic. Looking forward to some warmer temperatures here in the Midwest, outside the great city of Chicago. The temperatures are hovering around 50 degrees. We got a taste of 70 degrees maybe a couple weeks ago, and I thought we had turned the corner, but Mother Nature has tapped on us and said, not so fast, not so fast. But for all practical purposes, we're hanging in there and we're doing well. I'm sitting in the press box here at the world's famous Wrigley Field, the friendly confines, home of the Chicago Cubs. And as of now, a couple of weeks into the regular season, these Cubbies, the Northsiders, are struggling. Their bats they're cold as ice. They're as cold as the weather off the lakefront here in Chicago. Let's hope that things can turn around in their direction as well. But thank you for asking, and let's jump right into it. The one thing I wanted to get to you, Dr. Chad Padromas, is the NBA. And, we've gotten through as much as we possibly can as far as the shortened season is concerned, 72-game regular schedule for this season. And teams are jockeying for position. But the one question mark that seems to continue to hover around the National Basketball Association in anticipation of the playoffs are teams stashing their star players away, whether they're seriously injured or really injured, or maybe a lingering injury or hampering injury. But load management has been a topic of conversation over the past couple of years. And the reason being is the fact that some players feel that they don't want to play every game of the regular season because they want their bodies ready and prepared for the playoffs. Your thoughts, first of all, on load management. Is this something that's real in the National Basketball Association, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, and hard for me to talk about how these players feel about their own bodies. And I think, if you're in pain, you shouldn't play for sure. It's just really interesting. And I have hypotheses, but no answers, how things have changed. I mentioned in a previous edition of this that the minutes per game. So, Wilt Chamberlain famously played basically every minute of every game. And 1 year averaged something like 48 and a half minutes per game because he played every minute of every game, and he played overtime games, and he never came out. So, and he basically never got hurt, and so then, fast forward 10 years, 15, 20 years to the Bulls dynasty team. And, Jordan and Pippen were averaging north of 35 minutes a game. And that, Tim Duncan, and that came up with the Thibodeau years. So Thibodeau got absolutely trashed over playing people where people said was too much. And he argued at the time, he said, look, I'm not playing Luol Deng and Joakim Noah and Derrick Rose and Taj Gibson any more than Jordan and Pippen and Tim Duncan played. Furthermore, when Jordan and Pippen played, they were getting just the stuffing beat out of them, the Pistons bad boys, whatever. So it was definitely a rougher game. So then you say, well, with the players in the Thibodeau years and more recently, are they running more? Is it more strenuous? And I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem like it is. I don't know. So it's a funny thing, people, and it takes place across sports. People are just missing more time. My own hypothesis has been that it's the weight training, because that's really the only thing that I can think of that's changed. You look at films of players from the 90s, look at pictures of Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Jordan, and Pippen, and they look like high school kids compared to the way the guys are now that are really ripped. So I don't know why it is, but philosophies have certainly changed.
Yeah, it's interesting. And there's a lot that we can point the finger at as to why so much has changed. And I'm glad that you mentioned David Robinson, the outstanding star for the San Antonio Spurs back during his playing days. A lot of NBA insiders and scribes who covered the team back in the day kind of point the finger at the
The Rewind Sports 60.
Somebody call the media! Call the media! They're trying to kill me! They are trying to kill me! Somebody! 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 No! 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 John Hughes! No! John Hughes! John Hughes, say that! I am not racist! I am not! They're trying to kill me! They're trying to kill me! No! Back off! Back off or I will call for racism! I will call racism! Racism! Call the media! Call the media! Call the media! No! 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 Call the meeting. I will not leave until somebody calls the goddamn meeting. Somebody. WGN, please call someone. They are trying to kill me. They are trying to kill me. They are trying to kill me. Please. 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 No. 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 I will not. No. Until someone calls WGN and they get here, I'm not calling anyone. I will stay right here. Right here. You call them. You call them. Call them. No, I will not leave until they show up. Police. Real police. These are fake police officers. No. I'm telling you, they're trying to kill me. And they're trying to make it look like it's a fucking suicide. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I will not move from this spot. I will not move. Call the media. Call them. No. Call the media. Don't. They're controlling me. They're trying to make me secret. This is a setup. This is a setup. This is a setup for the evidence I have. For exposing them. For exposing. Look at the way they're locking me up. Look at the way. Yeah, they are. Back off. Down you. I will not associate. These are awful people.
The Rewind Sports 60.
What's up, Lauren? How are you? We talked about the Bulls, the Black.
TheRewindSports60.com. Relax, reset, rejuvenate. Go to our link right now to restart your life. TheRewindSports60.com. What are you waiting for? Hope to see you soon. The Rewind Sports 60.